In this breaking news edition of News Vault 13, we take a look back at a year ago, August 10th, 2021, the day that former Governor Andrew Cuomo announced his resignation.
Keep in mind, I've never crossed the line with anyone, but I didn't realize the extent to which the line has been redrawn.
Governor Cuomo resigns under the cloud of a sexual harassment investigation and an impeachment inquiry. He returned to the capital city this afternoon.
In 2 weeks, we will have a new acting governor. We'll tell you more about what happens next and more about who Kathy Hochul is.
You didn't want him to resign today?
No.
Why did you say that?
Because I thought with the corona and everything, I thought he did a good job. So
You wanted him to stay through and fight it out?
I sure did.
Yeah.
And we are hearing from you and your thoughts on the governor's surprise announcement that he's resigning.
From WNYT Albany, News Channel 13 live at 6 begins right now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Mulholland.
And good evening, I'm Sabrina Dami. We are coming to you live outside of the governor's mansion here on Eagle Street in downtown Albany. After addressing people saying he will step down as governor, he flew back. Governor Cuomo flew back here to Albany. We have extensive team coverage for you of this historic day, looking into how he got here, what comes next, and reaction from the New York State Capitol.
We begin here at the governor's mansion, where we assume the 56th governor of New York returned to tonight after making his announcement in New York City at around noontime today that he is resigning effective 14 days from now. Andrew Cuomo and his 3 daughters got off the chopper at the State Thruway Authority helipad this afternoon, returning from New York City, where he made what was likely the most difficult speech of his career. During his approximately 20-minute monologue, Andrew Cuomo remained defiant, saying he never crossed the line with his 11 accusers, but all of the allegations put him in a place where he could no longer effectively govern.
And wasting energy on distractions is the last thing that state government should be doing. And I cannot be the cause of that. New York tough means New York loving. And I love New York. And I love you. And everything I have ever done has been motivated by that love. And I would never want to be unhelpful in any way. And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing.
Cuomo went on to say that his successor, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, is smart and competent, and she can get up to speed very quickly. Hochul will be sworn in 14 days.
We've been saying all day how this was such a shock. We weren't expecting this, and a big reason was because at 11 o'clock this morning, the governor's personal attorney spent 45 minutes laying out the case and highlighting problems and errors, she said, in the Attorney General's report that was released 1 week ago from today. Kumi Tucker is live outside of the New York State Capitol, just down the street from here, with more on what Rita Glavin had to say. Kumi, good evening to you.
Good evening, Sabrina, and that's exactly right. It's because of that news conference that many people believed that Governor Cuomo would continue to try to fight it out and not resign today. His attorney blasted the Attorney General's report as well as media coverage of the allegations. She went on to counter those allegations point by point. But the overall message there was that the Attorney General's report and the investigators simply left out key facts when they did not fit the narrative they wanted. Cuomo's attorney, Rita Glavin, described as outside counsel, spoke in a virtual news conference through the state website this morning. She said the Attorney General's report simply got facts wrong. As for Brittany Commisso, the executive assistant we heard from yesterday, who claimed the governor groped her breast, Glavin says the dates don't add up and that investigators failed to speak to key witnesses at the mansion. As for the trooper assigned to the governor's detail who reported inappropriate touching, Glavin says Cuomo has great respect for her and did not touch her in a sexual manner. Glavin said from day one, this case started with a presumption that Cuomo was guilty and went from there.
The report, as I've said before, contains errors, and it omits key evidence. It omitted evidence that undermined the narrative that began in day one on this investigation. This was not about an independent review of the allegations and the circumstances surrounding them. From day one, this was about building a case against Governor Cuomo.
And Glavin says the people who were supposed to be investigators in this case instead acted as prosecutor, judge, and jury. Mark?
Kumi, thank you. After Glavin laid out her case today and after the resignation of the governor, we heard from Attorney General Tish James via Twitter. She said today closes a sad chapter for all of New York, but it's an important step towards justice. She said, I thank Governor Cuomo for his contributions to our state. The ascension of our lieutenant governor is Kathy Hochul will help New York enter a new day. We must continue to build on the progress already made and improve the lives of New Yorkers in every corner of the state.
About 30 minutes before the governor made this announcement, I spoke with a doctor who works with sexual assault survivors, Robert Hotzen. He founded an organization called Road to Recovery, and he has helped thousands of victims over the past 30 years. He told me Brittany Commisso's story in particular resonated with him. She's the woman known as Executive Assistant #1 until just a couple of days ago when she came out publicly with her allegations against the governor, saying that he reached under her shirt and cupped her breast.
Why would you put yourself, Brittany, in front of all kinds of cameras and then name yourself if you weren't telling us the truth? I sat yesterday and listened to her story, and it was the story of 99 3/4% of the victims that I've worked with.
Brittany Commisso filed formal charges against the governor with the Albany County Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Craig Apple late this afternoon said the governor's resignation announcement will have no impact on that investigation.
For the past week, Democrats have, at all levels, have encouraged Governor Cuomo to resign. So what happens now? What happens with the impeachment inquiry, and what happens with the party? Dan Levy joins us now live from the state capitol with that angle. Dan?
Mark, good evening. With Governor Cuomo's stunning announcement today, there is plenty of uncertainty tonight at the Capitol. There's one very significant unanswered question. Is impeachment a moot point, or will the Judiciary Committee continue its investigation? Tonight, there are already lawmakers here at the Capitol who have begun to mull over that crucial and historic decision. I spoke with many of them today. I spoke with several members of the Judiciary Committee, and I can tell you that there is no final decision on the impeachment matter tonight. The committee will meet on Monday to discuss their options. In the meantime, here's a sampling of what a few local lawmakers had to say about today's shocking news.
He had this view that in all manner of things, the rules that applied to everyone did not apply to him. I mean, the book deal, he got an opinion from Jacob as to whether he could write this book, and they said, you can, but here are the rules. And he broke the rules.
There are a lot of real issues impacting the average New Yorker, and the reality is continuing to be in office was going to be nothing but a distraction from the job. So to his credit, he did the right thing.
And that seems to be the consensus here tonight, that the governor did indeed do the right thing. Albany Assemblywoman Pat Fahey told me this will reverberate in workplaces all across the country. She says it clearly illustrates that certain behavior is unacceptable and intolerable. Live at the Capitol with coverage you can trust, Dan Levy, News Channel 13, back to you.
Dan, thank you very much. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik released a statement today focusing on the investigations that the governor faces right now. She said, quote, the resignation is long past overdue. There are multiple federal and state laws that the governor and his staff have broken, and they need to be held accountable. Our team has been gathering reaction all afternoon to this surprise announcement. We have reaction from state Republicans as well. Jonathan Hunter spoke with some of them, and he is live at the state capitol with that part of the story. Jonathan, good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, Sabrina. Republicans I spoke to today say it was the right thing for Governor Cuomo to resign. However, they believe he is still not off of the hook. Before Governor Cuomo announced his resignation, the Assembly Judiciary Committee announced they were nearing completion with their investigation. Members on the committee say they were most likely going to draft up articles of impeachment. Senator Jim Tedisco is hoping the Assembly Judiciary Committee continues with their impeachment investigation. He believes Governor Cuomo should be held accountable.
What we've got to make sure is that three things happen. He pays for the criminal misdeeds that took place, first of all. And through this impeachment, we make sure that he doesn't pour salt in the wound of the wallets of the 20 million people in New York State. He should not receive his pension. And through impeachment, we can find out a plan to make sure that does not happen.
And I spoke to Senator Jim Tedisco, and I asked him an honest question earlier. What were your thoughts on Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul taking over as governor? He says he was happy to see a woman be in charge. He says it's good for diversity. But he also says she is going to, at some point, have to answer questions because she was a part of Governor Cuomo's administration. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Jonathan Hunter, News Channel 13, coverage you can trust. Sabrina and Mark.
Jonathan, thank you. Our coverage of this historic day continues right here on News Channel 13. We have a special report coming up tonight at 7 o'clock.
Sabrina and I will be anchoring that broadcast right here from outside the governor's mansion. And you can find extensive coverage of this story, the big story of the day, the week, perhaps the year, on WNYT.com, including an interactive timeline.
We will continue to take a look back at our coverage of major events that impacted the Capital Region. To see our previous News Vaults, just head to the News Channel 13 YouTube page. Opening News Vault 13, I'm Rachel Teedy.